Welcome. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the gear I used for my Shikoku Pilgrimage, what I carried, what worked, and what I maybe skip next time. Let's start with the backpack. I used the Atom Packs, the purse. It's a 45-liter ultralight pack, weighing around 660 grams. This was my first time using it, and overall, it was okay. The hip belt felt pretty thin, and I had to really crank it down to keep things stable. I also got some shoulder pain, probably because the padding isn't super thick. I will probably give it another shot with a lighter load and see how it feels. It's also a very expensive bag, and honestly, I'm not sure I would recommend it, unless you really want to sacrifice comfort in favor of saving weight. Next up is my shelter setup. I used the Lightweight Illusion Solo Tent, paired with a Z-Pack carbon pole. The tent is super light and packs down really small. Same with the pole. I did get a bit confused setting it up at first, especially in the beginning. It takes a few tries to figure out the angles and tension. One thing I really liked, for a one-person tent, it actually has a lot of space inside. Definitely more than I expected. The main downside is that you have to seam seal it yourself. And for a tent that cost nearly 400 euros, I feel like that should really be included. Next up is my sleep setup. I used the Nemo Tensor sleeping pad and the Enlightenment Equipment Enigma quilt, 20 degrees. The Nemo Tensor was super comfortable. Not my first time using it. It did the job overall, but when the temperature dropped close to 0 degrees up in the mountains, I could feel it was reaching its limit. Combined with the quilt, I stayed warm every night. The quilt is definitely on the expensive side, but it's the best piece of gear I brought. Totally worth the investment. And even if 20 degrees Fahrenheit was overkill, I would rather be too warm than too cold. For clothing, I would recommend just taking what you already have at home. Any sport shorts or t-shirts will do. You really don't need to buy anything fancy just for walking. I brought a white pair of shorts I already own, so I could combine it with the vest I plan to buy there. If you're planning to get your pilgrimage gear, I would recommend buying it at the shop in front of Temple 10 rather than Temple 1. The lack of choice and quality at Temple 1 just isn't worth it. The selection felt limited and the gear wasn't very durable. After just 2 days, my vest already had an issue, and the hat started falling apart after 5 or 6 days. I also wore a black merino short, and it wasn't the best. It felt too heavy and took a long time to dry. On the other hand, I would definitely recommend getting merino underwear and toe socks. Absolute game changer. They will prevent like 95% of blisters. Seriously, if you're walking long distances, get a couple of good pairs. I had a pair of standard merino socks just for the airport, but during the pilgrimage, I never used more than the 2 pairs I brought. I also brought a light pair of pants, mainly for the airport. I didn't use it during the pilgrimage itself. I also had a long sleeve merino shirt. It was okay, but when it started to get really warm, I think it wasn't the best. And I had a hoodie style long sleeve merino shirt too, even thicker than the regular one. I almost never wore it. My body runs pretty warm. I didn't even use it at night. But if your body runs cold, merino tops might suit you better. I have an Atom jacket from Teryx, and honestly, I don't really like it. It's overpriced, too warm from mid-spring to mid-autumn, and not warm enough for winter. Plus, it gets saturated after about 20 minutes in the rain. I'm probably just not the target for this jacket. I protected my stuff with nylofilm pack liners. I used 2, one for my quilt and one for my clothes. I'm not using one of those backpack rain covers. I just don't think they are that effective, especially under heavy rain, which you can definitely expect in Japan. I like walking with an umbrella. I actually prefer it over a rain jacket, especially when it's warm. The one I have now is the Montbel Ultralight umbrella, but it's not the one I used during the pilgrimage. I bought it in Japan and took advantage of the strong euro at the time. Ended up paying about 35% less than I would have in Europe. Next, a pair of flip-flops. I hesitated to bring them, but I ended up not regretting it. It feels so good to take off your shoes at the end of the day and let your feet breathe. I used a pair of Salomon X Ultra Pioneer, and I love them. It's not the first pair I've owned, and I will definitely buy them again. I went with the Gore-Tex version, and yeah, it doesn't dry easily, but in Japan, you can usually find sneaker dryers, which helps a lot. To be fair, I wasn't super well equipped for heavy rain anyway. I've tried other brands before, but nothing has worked better for me so far. Just keep in mind, there is a lot of road walking on the Pilgrimage, so your shoes will take a beating. I also use a drone, the DJI Mini 4 Pro, and oh boy, I've got things to say about it. First of all, I love the shots it gives, and how much variety it adds to your videos. It really brings something special, and I don't regret carrying the extra 700 grams at all. But the batteries, it's honestly ridiculous. Like you saw in part 4 of my Shikoku Pilgrimage, I almost lost the drone. I used it with 30% of battery left, and it didn't even last 5 minutes. And the worst part, the batteries discharge themselves even when you're not using them. Honestly, I would rather carry 50 to 100 grams more if it meant having a better battery life. I think they are addressing the issue with the new DJI Mini 5 Pro, but for now, I stick with this one. It's already an expensive investment. For external batteries, I use two, one from Anker and one from Nightcore. The Anker one is pretty heavy, almost 500 grams, but it gave me around 3 to 4 days of charge, which was super useful. That said, if you're not bringing as many electronics as I did, I would recommend just carrying one 20,000 mAh. It should be enough. You will find plenty of spots along the way to charge your stuff. Also, don't forget your adapter. I like the one from Anker. It's compact, works well, and never gave me any trouble. There were a few items I brought thinking I would need them, but I didn't end up using them much. The radio, I used it a few times, and it was nice, but honestly not worth the extra weight. Same with the e-reader, I didn't use it a single time. I was usually too tired at the end of the day to even focus on reading. Instead, I listened to a lot of audiobooks while walking, which work way better for me. For filming, I use the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It works really well and it's lightweight. I'm not a big fan of Apple, but I've got to admit, the video quality is the best. For everything else, I was using a Samsung S23 Plus. It does the job, but the battery doesn't last as long as it used to. It actually got noticeably worse after an update. I use a tripod, not that one you're seeing in the video, but a different one, that actually broke after a week. That's why you'll notice there are fewer tripod shots after part 2. I didn't bother buying a new one, since I already had one waiting for me at home. I think it came with the DJI Osmo Action 4 package I have. A Garmin watch, really useful for keeping track of my walking stats. One charge will last me about 3 days, which isn't a lot, but it also doesn't take much time to charge back up. Same with the earbuds. I love them. They're expensive, but in my opinion, totally worth the price. You'll need them to escape the constant sound of cars. There's a lot of road walking on the pilgrimage. I brought a headlamp, but it didn't work well at all. I used it once and it started flickering and randomly turning off, even though it was fully charged. It was a cheap one from Amazon, but still, pretty disappointing. I also carried a hard drive. I used it at first, but eventually stopped. I had enough space on my iPhone, since I was only using it to film. I carried 2 towers, a big one for myself and a small one for the tent. Since the tent is single wall, I will wake up with condensation almost every morning, so having that smaller tower to wipe it down was super useful. And to finish, everything I brought for toiletries and my medical kit. I won't go into all the small items here, but you can check the description below. There is a link with a detailed list of what was in my bag. Thanks for watching my video. If you like it, please consider subscribing to follow my next adventures. If you have any questions about the Shikoku Pilgrimage, feel free to leave a comment or reach out to me on my social media. I'll help you the best I can. If you haven't watched my Shikoku Pilgrimage series yet, it should be appearing on your screen now. Let me know what you think about it. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks again, and see you around.